Well, just had another taper, mutter, painter finish at the other site. And so I just dropped them off because some long story, I don't get it, but they needed to drive. I took them. No big deal. So he was finishing up and I was going over his work and I was finding flaws. Now I'd done it yesterday, and the word that he used to describe me yesterday was picky. Okay, so yesterday I was picky. Today, when I pointed out a few things, I was anal. Um, so I don't really think that I'm really picky, but I am quite particular. And I have a certain way that I like things done, certain things that if they're not done right really, really bother me. So I was pointing those things out, and he fixed a lot, and there's a bunch of other stuff I looked at, and I thought, you know what, forget about it. I'll fix it later. Now, some would say, well, you're paying him to do a job. You should get him to do it. And yeah, I probably could. But at the end of the day, he wouldn't have been happy with me. He would have done it begrudgingly, which probably would have got him, means he was ticked off. And I just let it go. And I'll spend an hour and just touch things up. Not a big deal. Could be. I could have really gotten upset, and I'm not gonna pretend that I'm the perfect guy and I never get upset about things like that. I've gotten upset in the past and should have just left it alone, couldn't leave it alone, and I ended up getting upset with somebody that could have just done it myself, forgot about it, wouldn't have been a big deal. But there's a couple of principles at play. Number one, is it worth the battle? Sometimes you just gotta pick them. And, a lot of times we pick battles that are really, it's not a big deal. How many churches have split over stuff that, honestly, who really cares? The color of the paint in the bathroom. Seriously, people have gotten all up in arms and saying, when I'm looking in the mirror, I don't want to have a background that's, this color beige. I want this color blue or whatever. I don't know. We get uptight with each other and we argue with each other, and when we really stop and think about it, yeah, you may think you're right, and you might be. I'm not saying you're always wrong. I'm not saying I'm always wrong, but sometimes, who cares? I am the type of guy that has a tendency to get uptight, and I shouldn't, but I do. And I've been really working on lately just, have your say your piece, and I'll wait till everything cools down and just move on. Why? Because it's just not worth it. And a lot of times we limit our ability to minister to somebody, to love somebody, because we have to be right. We have to be justified or vindicated or whatever on something that's really, really unimportant. So the question is today, when you're coming into relationships with people, you got to ask yourself, when there's conflict, when there's struggle, is the juice really worth the squeeze? Do you really going to get what you want here? Would you rather be right, or would you rather be in good relationship? Someone said happy spouse, happy house. I like that better than a happy wife, happy life, because what the reality is? We both need to work on our relationships with each other. We both need to compromise. We both need just to let it go. I wonder how many times Jesus, he stood over the whole city of Jerusalem and said, oh, Jerusalem, how many times have I just wanted to gather you under my wings as the mother hen gathers his chicks, but you wouldn't have it. And, the reality is Jesus could have got his angels to come down and smite everybody. And he allowed those people that put him on the cross to die in a most painful, horrible way so that he could have relationship with us. See, if he was willing to sacrifice, even though he was completely in the right, but he was willing to sacrifice all of that out of love and to gain relationship, he said, Jesus, but for the joy set before him, endured the cross. What was the joy set before him? It was relationship. Sometimes we've got to endure a cross, just like Jesus. We've got to bear the same cross as Jesus did and say, you know what? I am going to give this up, my right to be right, so that I can have right relationship. Hope that's been an encouragement to you. Something that I've been going through. So I've got to go fix some money on somebody's wall because this is what I believe. And someday I may have another opportunity to witness to this guy, and I don't want to have him remembering me arguing about a little scratch in the wall that I could have fixed. I'd rather him saying, you know, he was a decent guy. So, God bless you. Talk to you tomorrow.